Welcome to the Newsmaker. From a startup in Bangalore to a globally respected multinational corporation, my guest today is credited for building one of India's biggest companies, IT giant Infosys. Narayana Murthy, thank you so much for joining us on the Newsmaker.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and a privilege.
First of all, let me ask you, what is the key of your success?
Well, whatever little that we have achieved in creating and bringing up Infosys to what it is today, it is based on an enduring value system. Right from day one, we said we want to be known as the most respected company in India. And later on we said we want to be one of the globally respected corporations. So we said in order to receive such a respect from every one of our stakeholders, customers, employees, investors, vendor partners, government of the land, and the society, we should simply ask a question, and that is, will this action of mine, will this decision of mine enhance respect for me and for the corporation from our stakeholders?
And it has worked because you created Infosys in 1981 with a $250 loan from your wife. A very nice gift from a wife to receive, and you scaled it up from a startup in Bangalore into a global software giant. How did you make all of that?
Well, I think it was a journey full of determination, sacrifice, values, some smartness, innovation, teamwork, and pride in whatever good things we were doing.
You have been called an iconic leader. What is your management and leadership philosophy in a couple of words?
I've always believed in leadership by example. Your actions speak louder than your words. Therefore, if you want your younger colleagues to do something, it is better you do it first and demonstrate that. Then they will automatically say, if this is good for this guy, it should be good for us too.
You have served as the CEO of Infosys from 1981 to 2002 and as the chairman from 1981 to 2011. How difficult was it for you to retire from the company, that is your baby?
No, it was not that difficult because at the end of the day, we wanted this company to be a company of the professional, for the professional, and by the professional, as Abraham Lincoln defined US democracy. So therefore, right from day one, we separated management from control. And our aspiration was to conduct ourselves as the finest set of professionals. So therefore, when we walked out of Infosys in 2011, we knew that we had discharged our responsibility to this corporation, we had discharged our responsibility to all the stakeholders, and we were quite happy, and therefore it was not difficult at all.
And in what shape do you see Infosys nowadays?
Well, I think they have a new CEO. He is doing a good job. My colleague Nandan Nilekani is the chairman. I think it's on a good trajectory.
Some critiques are saying that Infosys has grown into a too big of a conglomerate. It's getting too big of an elephant. Would you agree with that? And should it spin off some of the business even?
No, I mean, let's remember that I have retired. It is not proper on my part to answer questions that should be answered by the executive management. So therefore, I think such questions can only be answered by the executive management.
When you were still an executive at Infosys, how important has Switzerland been and doing business with Swiss companies here?
Oh, Switzerland is a very important country. It has a lot of high-quality pharmaceutical companies. It has lot of high precision manufacturing company. It has a lot of well-known banks. Therefore, Switzerland has always been a very, very important country for Infosys. In addition, this is where the Davos World Economic Forum takes place. This is where you get to meet the best of the CEOs, the best of the politicians, the best of the opinion makers, the best of the elite from all over the world. So therefore, Switzerland is a very, very important element in the strategy of any company.
And Infosys has been a very loyal partner. I remember covering so many World Economic Forums in Davos that you have always had this booth and a big presence at the WEF every year. So are you planning to keep up your presence in Davos?
You know, I stopped attending Davos sometime in 2010 or so. I did it for about 15 years. In fact, I was one of the co-chairmen of Davos in 2005, along with Bill Gates, Michael Dell, Al Gore, and a few others. And, you know, I always believed in providing opportunities for younger people, because they come out with new ideas, you know, they have new thoughts. Therefore, it is very important for every leader to provide opportunities for younger people.
In the past, a lot of Swiss companies have been outsourcing to India, especially the IT sector, like you in Bangalore. But there is now a trend that is shifting. Basically, for example, UBS insourcing and inshoring instead of offshoring. How do you see this trend going?
Well, you know, obviously, there are lots of very smart executives at UBS. So therefore, who am I to comment on their decision? However, what I would say is this. Let's remember the law of Ronald Coase, who said, if the cost of a transaction within the company is higher than the cost of the same transaction with a company outside, then whether they like it or not, the company has to outsource the transaction. So therefore, there must be a very good reason why some of the Swiss companies are insourcing. But I'm sure that is a very, very good incentive for Indian companies and Infosys to work harder to bring new innovations, new ideas, to make ourselves more attractive to Swiss companies.
But at present, we have so much protectionism because of US President Donald Trump's policies as well. So is this impacting the software industry in India already, because it has seen so much brain drain of talent going outside?
No, I think the Indian companies, including Infosys, as early as 2012-13, started experiment with what I call visa-independent global delivery model, wherein we reduce the effort that is required to be delivered at customer side, and we recruited local people. In fact, that recruitment of local people has gained serious momentum now and in the US, and they have done a good job. Therefore, I would say that companies like Infosys and perhaps the entire Indian software industry would not be affected too seriously by any of these policy changes.
How do you see the competition for the Indian IT sector from China? Because China is leapfrogging in the areas of innovation, technology, AI, robotics, and also smartphone makers like Xiaomi that have a huge market share in India.
Well, China is an extraordinary country. It is probably the most stunning country in the world in terms of their achievement. I mean, what they have achieved, I don't think, what they have achieved in terms of job creation, I don't think there's any other country that has done such a spectacular job. However, in the area of software services, China has not taken as much of lead as the world probably would like, and India has retained its lead in the area of software services. And that's our main export opportunity. And I think Indian companies are doing everything possible to keep that lead.
And do you think they will be able to keep that lead? And where could Indian companies and the software services sector gain more foothold and boost market share?
Well, I think as long as the Indian companies are innovating constantly, as long as they have focus on customer, as long as they create an environment of open-mindedness, an environment of meritocracy, speed, imagination, and excellence in execution, I believe that Indian companies will continue to take India forward and keep India in the lead.
Where do you see the biggest growth opportunities coming from for the IT sector in India nowadays? Is it demographic growth? Is it more business deals, mergers, acquisitions, or maybe the cloud computing and cybersecurity business that is out there?
Well, the buzzword these days is digitalization. Digitalization is really about bringing the web interface to various applications, bringing the power of cloud computing. It's all about making anywhere, anytime computing possible. It's all about ubiquitous computing. Therefore, I think digitalization is the area where most Indian companies are focused on. In addition, you have the Internet of Things, you have big data, you have artificial intelligence, you have machine learning, etc. These are all areas that do have considerable potential, but I think they have not been accepted by our customers as much as we would like.
For example, blockchain.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, blockchain is a huge opportunity. At the same time, they deal a lot with Bitcoin or Ethereum as well. How do you see that digitalization trend going? Do you see more opportunities than risks also for your clients?
Well, blockchain in terms of Bitcoins, I don't know if that is going to be a big opportunity. However, blockchain as a concept, as a distributed ledger, from which you cannot delete entries, that I think has tremendous applications in various domains. So therefore, I do see blockchain becoming very important for corporations, and therefore, blockchain will be a very important technology for the software services companies.
What is your broad outlook for the economy of India?
Well, I think we have a economy-focused Prime Minister. We have a government that is focused on enhancing the trade relationship with various countries in the world. We have several programs started by our Prime Minister in terms of Make in India, in terms of Digital India. Therefore, I do believe that this focus on high growth will be a very important item on the agenda of the current government.
At the same time, Prime Minister Narayana Murthy has come under pressure because last year there has been an economic slowdown, there have been corruption scandals, also the fall of the rupee, stoking inflation. Which are some of the challenges that the government needs to tackle now?
Well, these things happen all the time. There's always a business cycle. When economy slows down a little bit, it grows faster after perhaps 1 or 2 years. This is something that we have to accept. This is the nature of any large economy. But what is important to us, the Indians is the fact that the Prime Minister is focused, the central government is focused, state governments are very, very keen. They're competing in attracting investments. Therefore, I think it is this environment, it is this mindset that we all believe will help India continue its momentum of growth.
And a very crucial moment next year when Indians are going to the polls and vote in the general election. How are the people of India going to vote? How do they want to see the country in the future in terms of political and economic direction?
Well, I am not a psephologist, therefore I am not in a position to comment on that. But all that I would say is this: every Indian wishes a stable government, a government that is focused on creation of jobs, a government that is focused on both industry and agriculture, both urban India and rural India, a government that will make life better for every citizen, irrespective of his religion or caste or region or economic class. That's what I would say, yeah.
India is a 2.6 trillion US dollar economy. It's the world's sixth largest at this point, but the next superpower is going to be China. How do you see India's future place in the world?
Well, India will continue to be the fastest growing democracy in the world. We are very proud of that. And India will certainly work with China in our trade relationship, because China is a very important neighbor for us. And our Prime Minister has made tremendous effort to create good relationship with highly industrialized countries in Europe, in the US, Japan, etc.
And I remember Mr. Modi has been to China as well to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping, taking a selfie there as well. Now, still India is not very active yet on the Belt and Road Initiative. Would you hope to see this change, especially from an IT perspective and exchange in terms of technology?
Well, that's something I can't comment, because I don't know the details of that. If it is good for the world, I believe India should be in it. After all, we in India, we believe in a 4,000-year-old Sanskrit saying called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means the whole world is one family. That's the way India has always looked at the world. So therefore, whatever is good for this planet will be good for India. That's our philosophy.
You do have a close relationship, I believe, with Prime Minister Modi. Now, your name came up several times in the past as a potential candidate for the post of President of India. The last time there were rumors in 2017. So would you consider being the President of India?
No, I think that's in the realm of speculation. Therefore, I don't think I would like to comment on any such speculative issue. I'm quite happy to be a citizen of my country. I'm quite happy to do whatever little I can do in whatever I'm doing today.
So if the current president, Ram Nath Kovind, is stepping down one day and Mr. Modi officially asks you, would you say no?
No, I agree. As I said, these are all speculations. I don't want to react to speculations. That's not my nature. I think we should leave it in the realm of speculations.
And you're so active nowadays in many universities, on many boards. Tell me about your future focus. Where do you want to take your professional life next?
Well, I am running 73. Therefore, at this point of time, I am not highly focused on doing anything new. I'm quite happy adding whatever little value I can to the various responsibilities that I've already taken up, being on the board of several foundations, institutes, and all of the universities, etc. I really am not thinking of anything new at this point of time.
And not retiring at all, I believe. And also at the age of 73, you're incredibly healthy and fit. I read somewhere that you go for walks 30 minutes or so every morning. Is that your secret health recipe?
Well, I try and keep myself healthy, but you know, God alone knows how long I'll remain healthy. So.
You mentioned at some point that India is facing a big talent crunch affecting entrepreneurship. What exactly do you mean with so many young people in the country that are able and willing to work?
Well, entrepreneurship has taken off in a big way. The Indian companies are expanding in a big way. Lots of foreign companies are coming to India. There is a huge competition for talent in the country. Therefore, talent crunch is a reality in India. Therefore, we have to institute policies that will ensure that we can scale up this talent while retaining quality, while retaining their awareness of modern technology, their awareness of problem solving, their awareness of learning to learn new things. That's what I would say.
Talk to me about the startup scene in India as well. Where is it concentrated at the moment? Are there too many startup entrepreneurs with little quality, or is it a small number still at this point?
No, I think that number is growing every year, and the quality of the Indian entrepreneur is actually pretty good. The smart ones are entering entrepreneurship. They're taking risk because today venture capital is not a big issue. And I am quite impressed with the quality of the startups in India. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, India has been facing this brain drain problem. Does this mean that more young people are now willing to stay in India and build their companies and startups?
Well, the reality is simply this. If I looked at the number of students that went out of India in the 70s, it used to be plane load of students from well-known institutions. But that has trickled down to small numbers. So therefore, more and more Indians have decided to stay in India because the job opportunity has expanded. There are good quality jobs, and these youngsters would want to be in their own country and enjoy the benefits of the high quality jobs that they could get within the country. Absolutely.
Before we go, Mr. Murthy, the Time magazine called you the father of the Indian IT sector, and the Fortune magazine one of the 12 greatest entrepreneurs of our time. What is next for you personally?
No, I think I just want to lead a peaceful life. I spend a lot of my time reading physics, mathematics, computer science, etc. And that's how I spend my time. Then sometimes listening to music and meeting good people and holding conversations like this. I suppose that's how I want to spend whatever time God has, God is going to give me for the rest of my life. So
I wish you many more years and decades to come, but maybe not as the President of India. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Murthy.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure. Thank you very much. Wonderful.